Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful people. It is League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. Today we got a little bit of LCK off-season roundup. There's been a lot of stuff over the last couple of days. Nothing groundbreaking since Chovy went to Hanwha Life, but a lot of relatively big things. So we're just going to round up all the madness because LCK is always a couple weeks behind the LCS and the LEC.
Yeah, a little bit slower in the free agency bonanza going on, but you better believe you got some big fish in the pond getting out of there with Chovy and Deft making their signings. You're going to soon see a lot of organizations follow suit saying, hey, lockdown plan B, plan C, whatever plan it's going to be, sign these players up, and we got to talk about it.
And now with Chovy to Hanwha Life, this announcement today makes you kind of wish, man, Chovy to Afrika would have been pretty fun because now they announced that Bang and Lehends are going to be coming over as their bot lane for next split. Obviously, Lehends is an amazing immediate upgrade for them. Even on a horrible Hanwha Life roster, it was still like, Lehends is still great. Let's get this guy a team. So now he's going to be on a better team with Afrika. And of course, Bang returning to the LCK. I know a lot of people have been critical of his time in North America, and we have as well, but let's just say he may have been at times an issue on 100 Thieves or Evil Geniuses, but he was never what you were talking about with why specifically the teams didn't find success.
Right. When you look back at his time and his history in North America, there's a lot of conclusions that you can come to when you're seeing the results and even the eye test, right? When you're watching some of these highlights, some of these games, some of the misplays really. Unfortunately, is the characteristics of his time in North America. Sure, you can make excuses. Sure, there can be legitimate excuses. You can talk about certain things about being, varying degrees of homesick affecting his performance, talking about his supports that he's been paired up with, whether they truly developed any chemistry or even the talent, things of that nature, compared to what he'd had with Wolf at his peak in the LCK. Sure, you can have a lot of these conversations, but at the end of the day, someone like Bang, the money that he was paid, how he was hyped up, there was some level of accountability that had to be taken for the results. And whether it was with 100 Thieves or Evil Geniuses, didn't see enough of that in North America. Now you're going back to the LCK and hey, feeling pretty good. Get to go back home. Hopefully that's an improvement in not only performance and the consistency of that performance. But the big one for me, as you talked about in this announcement, is that signing of Lehends. Pairing him up with Lehends, that's the key for me, because if this was just Bang coming through and let's dig into the old support pool and find something, I wouldn't be as nearly convinced. But getting Lehends alongside him, I think that can be a lane that can really do something.
Yeah, Lehends and Bang sounds a lot better than Jelly and Bang. Jelly and Bang has a nice ring to it, but the actual bot lane...
I like that Jelly is willing to play certain type of champions down in that support pool, but that's certainly not going to make up for the difference in what skill and gameplay you're going to get from someone like Lehends.
And listen, for Bang, yeah, he had some fine performances in North America. You can say, how much could you have really done in some of these metas as an AD carry? Even I remember seeing many games where Bang you looked at it and you said there was really no mistake that he made in this game, and you guys lost pretty convincingly. And now he played with Afro, and this was one of the worst years Afro had as a pro. He even looked way better on Dignitas in 2020. Zeyzal, this wasn't Cloud9 form of Zeyzal. So for Bang, I feel like this is the first time he's had a legit all-pro level support since 2017. I feel like it's been 3 years.
And good for him to have this one, because you know what? Outside of our questions about his own individual performance, his consistency that he's going to have to bring to this team. Well, the question is, how are you going to stack up really now? Because, when you left the LCK, sure, you were in that, that top bracket as far as ADCs, even though you had some people still, kind of dogging you with, your performance and whether you were over the hill type of situation. Now you're coming back, and obviously not coming back on the back of some very strong performances, and you're coming into the region now, the LCK, and well, we've seen a massive turnover really and growth of the youth of the ADCs in the LCK. What is available? He's going to have to answer, and he's going to have to be able to provide that firepower necessary to keep up with the young guns.
And I mean, a lot of people are going to talk about Mystic, who was on Afrika last split, and say, is Bang better than Mystic? Probably not, based on what we saw out of Mystic in 2020. You could say this is a downgrade. Where's Mystic going? I've seen both rumors that he's retiring and the other rumors saying he's going back to the LPL to play for TT, which is Dominus rebranded. Terrible rebrand, if you're asking me. But I don't know if I can see him going back to the LPL because he has his family now, and that's why he came to Korea, was to be with them. So it feels like he's either going to play in the LCK or retire to me. But either way, it doesn't look like he's going to be on Afrika. So is that really going to be an upgrade, Bang, over Mystic? Probably not.
It's a tough sell when you're talking about making an upgrade. I think as far as really your best bet, as far as talking to people trying to hype this up, would be a side grade, right? Talking about what benefits, what things Bang can do in game differently or more so better than say what Mystic is going to provide. And I think one of the big things, as you said, is the peak level of performance that you're going to get, the way that they were fighting over the last couple of years. And again, it's hard to tell due to the differences in regions and who they're playing with. But my money would be on Mystic to deliver those standout performances that you're looking for. That one that is going to, again, when you're looking at a roster like the Afrika Freaks, if Keen's not online, not delivering the performance that you need, well, you need to be getting it from somewhere else. And with the Afrika Freaks, sometimes last year, they were able to pick up the pace with Mystic delivering some strong performance, strong kiting around with Ash, if you remember some of those highlight clips.
Sure.
That's what you're looking for at the peak from Mystic on the Afrika Freaks. And within the last 2 years, we have not seen that peak from Bang. That's all I'll say about that.
And even if, okay, it's a side grade, it's a slight downgrade, the real problem for Afrika over the last couple of years has been the mid lane and the jungle at times. And we know Dread is going to be coming back. Mid lane is still a question mark, which is why the Chovy signing would have been so great. Because if they run back with, Fly or any other combination of other mid laners they've used, they're not up to the level of some of these other LCK mid laners, which is a stacked pool now with Chovy, with BDD, with Showmaker, with Faker. I mean, outside of that top four, there's even still another solid tier, but it's pretty hard to compete with those guys.
Right, and it's one of those ones where for a squad like the Afrika Freaks that are clearly looking to aim towards the top of the table in the LCK, it's very disappointing to see the mid lane left as what it's going to be. And sure, it could be serviceable. I think a lot of people might look at what they're going to, is what they would call the mid lane performances that you only need from Afrika Freaks, given what you're going to have with someone like Keen in the top side. But you're right. We know that Afrika Freaks were in conversations, we're in discussions with Chovy about signing a contract. And so to realize now what you have as a full roster and what your identity is hopefully going to be, well, I tell you what, that identity would be a hell of a lot stronger with Chovy.
Yeah, but that being said, I feel like Afrika poised to be the playoff gatekeeper that Hanwha used to be. That just seems to be where they've been set for the last 2 years, I feel like, in that 5 to 6 bubble, sometimes sneaking in and sometimes getting upsets against T1. Always good for that.
I'm looking for my boy Lehends to be the big difference maker for the Afrika Freaks with these ones, because we know that, hey, Keen is a difference maker in himself as a top laner. Sure, that's a beginning of a discussion. But you want to make a difference in the results, in where you're finishing in the standings for Afrika Freaks, I'm telling you that Lehends is going to be the key to that this year with the roster change.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see him on a team that can actually be contending for playoffs. A team that should be aspiring for a little bit more than tending to playoffs is Damwon, the defending world champions. This was a couple days ago now, but we never actually talked about it on the show. The top lane swap that seems to be going on, because Nuggery has been linked to at least 3 different teams here in the offseason. But now Damwon is gone and brought Khan on for 2020, which pretty much completely signals Nuggery is not going to be returning with the squad. And the main team that he's been linked to now is in the LPL, and it's Fun plus Phoenix. So they just swapped Khan for Nuggery, and I don't know how FPX got away with that one.
I don't know what type of magic trick they're dealing with, what type of black magic dark arts is coming through to make that type of convincing argument, to make that sell. That is one heck of a deal coming through, if that's what the rumors are telling us are true about this one. Focusing on what we know, with Khan transferring over to Damwon Gaming from FPX. Well, it signals the end of his time on FPX, which was a very, very up and down roller coaster over the course of a year. But
not tons of ups. A couple Fiora outplays.
A few. Couple bright spots, but obviously, again, not really clicking with what the identity of how FPX wanted to play or how they had been strongly playing the year before comes over. And I still think he can provide, obviously, those level of play that we've seen and we've seen in the year before that. But when you're talking about Khan and you're talking about moving off of Nuguri, right? If you have to replace him, well, I'm sorry, you're not really going to replace Nuguri. That's the first thing you need to accept in this conversation. But secondly, with Khan, the problem or question really for a lot of people is when you're comparing the Nuguri and Khan, and sure, if you want to be negative about Nuguri, you could really go down that, coin flip type of route and talk about their performances and what they're going to give you. Well, Khan doesn't seem to have the special buff that Nuguri does. That were, hey, if it's a coin flip, we're flipping like 10 coins and all 10 of those coins are coming up heads. That's how it goes for Nuguri sometimes. Khan doesn't really have that mode. It's just one coin and it's tails. We're losing this one, guys. It's just one single one. Nuguri can give you that firepower, multiple coin flips, my man.
And Nuguri can be camped the entire early game, be 0-4, team fights roll around, he's on a Kennen or a Vladimir, and he can single-handedly carry you through a team fight. We saw him do that countless times on Damwon. Khan, it just feels like, obviously, we're a few years removed now from the peak King Zone, Longzhu Khan absolutely annihilating everybody. But if you're FPX here, even if you're getting ahead of this, Nuguri's better than Khan right now. I don't think anyone's arguing that. But if you're FPX, you're saying the Khan experiment didn't really work. Maybe he was too resource hungry. We need more of a supportive, weak side, top lane player. And then you go out and get Nuguri. But that doesn't quite add up to me.
And then even to complete it, the other part of the rumor that I'm seeing for this is that S of M is going to be heading towards FPX replacing Tian in the jungle. And that's another one that leaves you kind of like, okay, sure, S of M, thumbs up, and I'm feeling okay, but you're left, even more so than Khan, with a bit of a question of, what are you replacing? What is your goal here? As you said it, with Khan moving off of FPX, you can look at it as the way of, obviously, as you said, well, sure, there's the positives in Nuguri and then the downsides, but even just talking about it, the experiment that you saw with Khan and how his playstyle was with FPX, that's not getting a thumbs up from me. And moving on to Nuguri, sure, even with the positives, that's just kind of, doubling down on, give me double catch up now. It's the same thing, just more and stronger of it, man.
And a weekly reminder that S of M said before he joined Suning, he reached out to TSM and they never answered him. So hey, 2020 TSM could have had S of M, guys.
Look, they got to stay with Speak. I'm happy with that for TSM. But even if I don't want to do SFM 30 like that, what do you want? You want him to make the 9-man sleepy bubble with Lilia? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's even if there's a language barrier, it's even then you can use that as an excuse.
Then there's the TSM barrier.
Yeah, we didn't know to go in. He didn't call it. Yeah, of course, guys. Yeah, of course. But I mean, Nuguri and SFM, if they both do end up on FPX, that's a pretty terrifying top side of the map and will absolutely wreak havoc in the LPL.
Yeah, that's obviously the exciting part is having this idea that's the type of play that you're seeing with these rumors, this revamping in that top side for FPX. SFM, a lot more so in the vein of what I think, plays into the mindset and strategy from doing B and the rest of FPX. Nuguri, not exactly so much, but sometimes the talent is too good that it don't matter.
And who knows? Doing B, there's retirement rumors pretty much every offseason. You saw how much fun he had streaming Worlds. I know FPX wasn't there, but his analysis and everything throughout was fantastic.
Don't let him talk to TSM, Bjergsen, or Double F. Don't spread this. We don't need more of this.
They're going to say, it's so great, man. You should try it. You should check it out. It does seem a little crazy to see Nuguri all but likely headed over to the LPL after such a great run in the LCK. But, I mean, some of the contracts, the numbers going around for the LPL, yeah, there's a reason they can't retain some of these star players in Korea.
I wanted Nuguri to stay with Damwon. I was hoping to see a run back, try it again, keep improving. But look, as you all know with this channel, and as we've talked with lots of free agents, I'm all in favor of the individual securing that bag, getting that cash when they can. My boy Nuggery looking to cash in. I got no problems with that. Get it, brother.
So let's say we know Barrel's already coming back. Let's say the rest of Damwon stays. I imagine they probably will. You replace Khan for Nuggery. They still the front runners to win in the LCK?
I'd be hard pressed to say not front runners at this point for Damwon and what they can offer, just based off of the strengths of what you're going to get from Canyon, what you're going to have with Showmaker. And as you said, Barrel returning is a big thing as well. Going to be interesting with the coaching staff, the overturn. I'm definitely looking at that as well.
A lot of changes.
A lot of people. There are a lot of changes, but I still think there's a lot of power with Damwon at the very top. And unfortunately, if we maybe got a little something, as we talked earlier, Freaka Freaks Chovy, we could be having a different type of discussion about who can push them at the very top and who can push that pace. I think power, and far as power players are in the LCK, a little bit spread out, a little bit of too many question marks. Excuse me, still left to answer to say that Damwon is not at the top so far in the LCK.
There wasn't really a new super team that was built in the LCK this offseason. You had the DRX roster completely exploding, but little shards went to different squads, right? Deft and Chovy to Hanwha Life. Kyria goes over to T1. And outside of that, it doesn't... I don't think Tarzan, I don't think Kanabi, there's no big superstar jungler that's coming in to help the issues for T1. And Gen G looking somewhat similar. So yeah, I feel like Damwon should still be the lead horse in this race.
It is exciting times for the LCK because, look, Damwon is a brand new territory for them to be the defending champs, to hold on, to be considered in this type of realm of what it is. And this is the full journey of their arc, right? We talked about them 2 years ago at Worlds, talking about how hyped up this challenger squad was that people were trying to scrim against and whatnot to get the world championship status, to now entering a new beginning and where you are at the top of the table. No one's underestimating Damwon. No one's underestimating Showmaker and Canyon, what you're going to bring. You got to answer as the top dogs this year. Yeah,
and it's the first time that they will be in that position, because even in summer, it took until... I remember even when they were sitting, 7-1, people were like, okay, is Damwon actually that good? No one was expecting that coming into summer for them to be that dominant. And yeah, absolutely heading into spring. Maybe not expecting that level of dominance, because that was historic levels of obliteration. But yeah, they're going to be expected to be number one, and we'll see. They're not rookies anymore. The 2 years under their belt, we'll see how they can do with being regarded as the favorites coming into the LCK. A little bit more of just a bit of roundup in terms of roster moves to get through, and a lot of them in the LCK in particular. The LEC does it fantastically as well. We love looking at the new up-and-coming talent, right? And we've seen it, guys like Kyria and Piosik have come in. Kana was kind of out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, Kana, 1 year, rookie of the split, best player on T1, he's old news now. Because T1 is saying, we're promoting Zeus, this 16-year-old. Khan is still going to be the starter because, A, Zeus is 16 until the end of January. But, it's always having a sub to go against. He's just off the academy team, and he's going to be one of the main subs for T1. But Zeus is one of the most hyped-up top laners, maybe the most hyped-up top laner from the solo queue and amateur scene.
Hey, man, it happens every year. There's someone that comes through that's hyped up, that you watch the plays and you're like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. How old is he? Oh my God, I am so old.
He's born in 2004. 2004,
That's
guys.
the reaction I always have when I see this. You look at I am such a boomer, man, when I see that going on. And I tell you what, I'm okay with being a boomer because I ain't anything like Zeus, and I ain't doing anything that Zeus does on the Rift, because my man has got way too much skill, what I've been able to see from him. The hype is there. I'm buying into that hype that a lot of people are. Before the montage, I was buying into the hype and what we talked about with him. There's a lot. And to say the hype for him there, you're talking about Kana. How much more do you really want from a rookie that's going to step in and deliver? Kana, a lot of people are already talking about how fantastic he was last year, the potential to build off of that and what you can do, talking about, other young players like we just talked about, Nuggery, and the steps and growth that they had to make as young players, where Kana was in that development. Oh man, you just go, okay, well, that was fun. Let's go with Zeus. Oh my Lord.
And that lies the difference, well, one of many differences, between the LCK and the LCS. The LCK, T1 says, Connie, you just had an incredible, one of the best rookie runs that we've ever seen. Now we have the most hyped up rookie after you, and you better keep playing well or he's going to take your job. Oh, jeez, man.
Hey, it is a dog eat dog world. You got to be ready for it, my man. And Kana, hey, you got to fight for that spot now with Zeus. I don't think that anybody is going in and giving it to Zeus right away. But look, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be a duo duking it out for see who is going to take that starting spot, what they're going to be able to offer. From what I've seen from both of them, they can play carries. That's not going to be your question about these two.
Another hyped upcoming player is Karis on Gen G. He's the mid laner who, like Zeus, got promoted to the main roster. Still going to be BDD starting. But a lot of people think he can actually, push BDD and force him to work to retain that starting spot. And some people, he's right there with Closer for most hyped up challenger mid laners in the LCK. So excited to see him develop, maybe get some starts on the main stage.
I'd like to see some starts on the main stage at some point. As far as pushing, obviously, in the immediate term, BDD out of any type of starting spot, don't think that's warranted. I think that's going a little too far with some people. Obviously, you can have these type of discussions even with, liking the performance of what Kana brought with Zeus and that type of thing. This is a little bit of a different scenario with BDD already there and what he can provide. One of the things that is positive for me is obviously is getting to scrim against BDD, getting to learn against BDD and having to be beaten down by BDD in those scrims and practices. You're going to learn a lot from those type of situations, what you're going to be putting and how you're going to get it. That's what I'm looking for as far as growth.
You want to practice your Azir? Play against BDD. That's probably a good way to do it. Some other rapid fire roster moves. Peanut, Team Dynamics, KT signing Hybrid, which is going to be a downgrade from Aiming, and Wadid is heading to All Knights in the Latin American scene, but Peanut to Dynamics obviously feels like a step down from what he did on LGD.
Yeah, that one is after the way things ended with LGD, unfortunately, it's not going to be a situation where you really felt that Peanut was going to find the most optimal spot to land. Of course, coming back to the LCK, and there's going to be questions even coming back to the LCK as far as what level of performance, what level of play you're going to be getting, just knowing, the real question is going to be how much has the LCK adapted or changed or grown from the past year? Because if it's the same pace of play, the same type of things going on, unfortunately, I think that for Peanut, his performance might be there. I don't think the rest of the team is going to be there as well. And if you're on a squad like Team Dynamics, hey, that's going to be a very different scenario than what you had as far as what was available to you when you were playing with LGD and you had, Chie is my mid laner, and I can just go. It's going to be a different story, my man, with Team Dynamics.
Well, let me tell you, if the rest of the LCK continues to play at the same pace that they did last year and the year before in 2018, well, then Damon's going to go 16-2 again and absolutely poop on everybody. I would hope the rest of Korea has taken some lessons from what they did throughout 2020 because they proved that that's the proper way to play in this meta, and everybody should be taking notes from the defending world champs. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. As always, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you guys and gals on the next one and on that flippity flop.